Hey everybody, this is Dark Side of Lee here, and I have a video that I wanted to do. This is gonna be what I would do for Man of Steel 2. Given if I had the ideas and I was able to sit down with if I wanted to sit down truly with Henry Cavill and even with the WB execs and pitch this idea to them, and I'll hope that you guys enjoy. Okay, so basically, this movie is supposed to take place 4 years after the events of Man of Steel. So we already got Batman in the universe, we got Wonder Woman, we got the Justice League. Now he's he's rebuilding. He's rebuilding his himself in the world that around him, and he's still feeling the effects of his death and how much that it truly did affect the world. And also, he's trying to figure out one big aspect: can he still be a symbol of hope? And he's now again. He's gonna do it again. He's gonna try again, and he's gonna try to figure out the right way. Um, he's also trying to understand Batman. He's trying to figure out because he's getting hints that there's something going on with Bruce, and there's a lot of other things going on, and he's hearing that also Lex Luthor is out there, but he's trusting Batman to bring him to justice. Now, as you notice with these idea points are coming from the what I felt that they should be doing for the Batman movie. So this is gonna be almost like another story point for where Clark is in his life and where Bruce is in his life. Now they're okay with each other. They're not truly friends yet because Clark is still trying to rebuild himself as a hero while Bruce is trying to figure out can he still be the Batman. And he's still getting those hints that there's something bigger going on, and he's trying to deal with it. Now, also, you get Clark trying to talk to Diana, and also, how did she feel about everything that was going on 100 years ago? So he's getting a lot of talking from Diana, and Diana really doesn't have the answer because she never did have the answer. She hid herself from people, and she felt that was the only way to really be a hero. She felt that hiding herself was the answer, and Clark felt that that's not the true answer. That how can people know that you're a hero if you're hiding? So you're getting a lot of talks between the two of them, and she apologizes. She massively apologizes for everything that happened in BVS. She also apologizes for what happened in Justice League. And he says, "Why?" And she says, "Well, I didn't want Bruce to bring you back. I felt that you did your duty, and you died a hero's death." And he kind of just said, "Well, I mean, I hate to admit it, but Bruce is right. The world does need Superman. And if any one of you were gonna step up to the plate, then how is the world gonna reflect and react to that? You save the world." And she says, "No, we save the world." Goes, "No." And he kind of puts it in her face that, "No, you save the world. Bruce brought this team together, and he and all of you saved the world. I just came in at the last minute." So he kind of, again, he was humble about it, and she kind of chuckles a little bit. He goes, and she says that and she kind of gives the hint that you you are the most humblest person I've ever met in my life. And he goes, "Yeah, well, I wish I understood that a long time ago." She goes, "What do you mean?" And then they kind of have this talk about what happened in BVS, that he didn't understand why the world changed on him so much. And she kind of gave him the hint that the reasoning why is because of Lex. And he goes, "No, it wasn't Lex. Lex was just a catalyst. Lex was just a voice that for the voiceless." And she says, "Well, that's who you are." And he goes, "No, you don't understand. I'm an alien. I'm not born here. I'm not raised here." She goes, "Yeah, and I'm a goddess, and that doesn't mean anything. You got to do what you got to do. This world is also yours for protecting too. It doesn't matter if you were born here or you crash landed here or whatever or anything like that. It If you have the gifts and the powers to save the planet, then what makes it any different?" He kind of, and again, it kind of reinforces him. And again, and I know people are gonna say, "Well, wouldn't Superman know that?" And he goes, He does know that, but he still is trying to figure it all out. That's the main thing about this whole situation. He's trying to figure it out. Was he doing the right way of doing things? Was him just jumping in, saving people's lives and flying away, saving people's lives with regardless of the consequences, was that the right way of doing it? And she's enforcing that because she's saying, well, people are not gonna ask for help. Just save them and move on. I mean, that's what heroes do. He's trying to figure out that's not what it. That's not. He did do that, and it didn't work. It didn't work. So he's trying to figure out a new way of doing things. So now you get to a situation that's going on in space, and what's going on is um a deep message is sent throughout the galaxy, and all it is a message of the last son, and last son, Krypton, and it's reverberating throughout all of the galaxy, and one of Lex's satellites picks it up, and Lex gets this message, and he's trying to figure out what the heck is this. So we're getting um we're getting the Lex from BVS. We're getting his character, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex, but he's so different than what we're all used to. He's way different. He's still budding as a hero. He's still budding as a villain, and one of the biggest things is he's on the run. He knows that Batman's on his tail. He knows that he can't get anybody else to help him. So he's doing everything he possibly can to keep out of Batman's sight, so Batman won't throw him back into Arkham Asylum. So while that is going on, he's getting these messages, and he's deciphering them, and he comes to find out that it's ancient Kryptonian, and he uses that information to actually, I don't know, communicate with the creature, and he realizes that what the deal that he made is to get rid of Superman, but he doesn't know that who he's calling, and when the call comes, it comes in the form of Brainiac. That's our yes it is. It's our introduction to Brainiac, and and I know how people feel about it. They go, oh, okay, great, we're gonna get Brainiac. Yes, but this is not the Brainiac that you know. This is a different version of Brainiac. This version of Brainiac is an amalgam of what they of the from the animated cartoon and the comics, and also a little bit of what they did in Smallville. So basically, the way Brainiac works is he is in his main ship. He is in his main ship. But his main ship is so deep in the universe, it's on an event horizon. So basically, he cannot be seen by anybody. So the Green Lanterns cannot locate him. Darkseid cannot locate him. It's like, what the heck? He hid himself so far deep in an event horizon that he cannot be destroyed, but he's hidden from all scopes of sight. And he sends out feelers out into the galaxy to do his bidding. And those are the versions that basically destroy planets, suck up whatever technologies they have, destroy the planet, and bring them those bottles. And he bottles the greatest of their civilizations and brings us back to the event horizon. When he found out about Krypton, he was going to bottle Krypton, but it didn't happen that way because the planet was eroding. So what happened is he sent a feeler there, and the Kryptonians sealed it up. And you come to find out that the technology that was based off of their genealogy was based off of Brainiac. So all the advanced technologies they had, and they advanced themselves, was based off of Brainiac's technology. And that feeler became the symbolism of Krypton. And when Krypton got destroyed, he lost that feeler. But when he found out that the feeler sent out one last message, says the last son the last son, Krypton, he was trying to figure it all out. But then when the mother boxes were activated and brought him back, and the whole situation, it sent a rippling effect throughout the galaxy, and actually the energy discourse from the mother boxes alerted Brainiac to the fact that something happened on Earth. He doesn't know what it was, but he sent a feeler to Earth, and that's when he found out about the last son of Krypton, because the messages that were left and everything else. And through Lex, he found out about the mother boxes. He found out about the Unity. He found out about Steppenwolf, which impressed him because he has heard a plethora and millennia and eons of stories about the butcher of Apocalypse, and he felt that there was no way he could take on Darkseid. There's no way. Darkseid is extremely powerful, and the Apocalyptians are extremely powerful. The whole fourth world is extremely powerful. That's why he stayed the heck on the event horizon. He was like, nope, I'm not dealing with this. And also with the fact of the Green Lantern Corps, he didn't want to deal with that. So there's a lot of Easter eggs that are placed in this movie that are telling you that there's a lot of reasons why Brainiac is nowhere in the galaxy and no one's heard of him. They've heard of him, but they can never find him, and that's what the whole situation is. So Superman, so basically Lex alerts Brainiac to Earth, and you get a feeler, and it's in the classic symbolism. He has the skull with the three dots and everything else, and you get Corey Burton, who I think he did the original voice. Let me look that up just real quick. Uh, Let me see. Sorry about that. Okay. Let me see. Sorry about this. So we get the original Corey Burton. We get the original Corey Burton, who played the voice of Brainiac in the animated series, and also he did the voice in the Justice League Unlimited. And um, let me see. Yes, he does the original voice, and the way I would definitely do it is that that we're not gonna meet the original Brainiac, and not in this movie, because basically that's gonna be a separate movie, and that's how I want to do it, and I want to do it in a way that makes it so Brainiac is a much bigger villain for Superman. Like, he's a huge villain for Superman, and I want it to be Corey Burton. But when we do meet the original voice actor, it's legitimately Jeffrey Combs, he because Corey Burton does a really good job with the robotic voice of it, but I want a more human voice. I want a much more capable voice, and Jeffrey Combs as Brainiac, and it's so monotone, it's so detached, it's so emotionless. His voice acting for Brainiac is phenomenal. I'm not putting it against Corey Burton. He would be a great Brainiac for this movie, but for when I do the proposition for Man of Steel, Brain for Man of Steel 3, or I do Batman v Superman, or the Trinity versus Brainiac. Oh my God, I truly do want Jeffrey Combs, because he looks more human, and he doesn't he looks part and he but he's all if you I want you guys to look at the how he looks in Krypton. He looks a lot like that, but he's amalgamated into the machinery. So it's basically the machinery is keeping him alive, but he's a shriveled up old. He's shriveled. He doesn't. He looks less human. He looks less human, but he's an alien. And he's from Kultu, and And you get a lot of the story from the comics that he basically did this so he could prevent the destruction of his people from this intergalactic interdimensional race from wiping out his people. And but then he was pretty much supposed to be an archaeologist, and he was supposed to be a person that treasures history. But because he became so robotic and so monotone, his last set of programming in his mind is he's supposed to gather all the technology and just wipe it out, because he's realizing that it's going to get wiped out regardless. So it's one of those things that his primary function as a person was to be an archaeologist, a treasurer of history, and he started perverting it. And that's what you're getting for Superman's character. He's perverting his history. He's perverting what he's supposed to be doing. But you're getting Corey Burton's character in the middle of it, and it's more robotic than anything else. And that's our introduction to Brainiac. And when he comes to Earth, he grabs up Superman and he flies out into space. So this is now Superman dealing with everything in space, and now his legacy is going to start. This is where his legacy starts, and everybody hears about the Man of Steel. Everybody hears about the last son of Krypton, and and when he combats Brainiac in the middle of all this, because he's realizing he's losing his powers. His strengths are slowly leaving him because he's leaving out of Earth's atmosphere. He's leaving out of Earth's sun. So whatever dormant energies he has in his body, it's slowly leaving him. And you're getting a cutscene where Batman's seeing this and he's going, "We need to stop this." So he tries to contact Diana, Arthur, and the Flash, and Victor, and he says, "We need to get over there as soon as possible." They're like, "Dude, he's Superman. He can be able to handle it." He goes, "No, you don't understand. Over time, he will lose his strengths." And they're like, "Oh." He goes, "Yes. You guys don't realize he gets stronger by being under the yellow sun. Whatever energies he has in his body, that's all he's gonna have. He over time, if Brainiac keeps pushing him, he will slowly start to drain whatever energy he has in his body." And that's what you're noticing in the movie. So you're noticing him trying to use his brain, he's using his skill, he's using everything he possibly knows, and also he's thinking like Bruce. Like, what would Bruce do in this situation? What would Diana do in this situation? What would Arthur do? He's ripping things apart. He's using his speed when he needs to use his speed. He's trying to figure out the technology as best as he possibly can. He's using Bruce to be a lot more clever and more cunning to keep out of Brainiac's sights. It's one of those things, and he's being vicious with he's ripping things apart when he needs to rip things apart. He's utilizing the understanding of what his teammates do, and he's trying to do it. And he's also noticing that he's getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and he can't keep using the full level of his strength or he will die. And also, he has to be able to get back home. So it's like he has to be able to hold in the energy he has left so he can be able to fly back to Earth and get within another yellow sun. So then the last portion of the movie, you also have Lois talking to Martha, and she says and they talk about like how Clark is in danger, and Martha kind of shrugs it off like, "My boy is smart, and the man died, and he came back. I think my son will be perfectly fine." And you kind of see a worried face on her, but it's more of a motherly concern, but she's stern about it. Like, "No, my boy will come home, and you should calm down too." And Lois calms down, and then she gets a call, and then Martha gets a call, and it's from Bruce. And she goes, "Oh, Mr. Wayne." And Bruce is asking her that, "Hey, do you have any knowledge of any other Kryptonian technology that you and your husband had, or anything like that?" She goes, "No, I don't." She goes, "Okay, well, thank you for your time." And that's it. That's the last time he ever calls her. And you're like, wow, okay. It's like he asked her for one question, that's it. Boom, and he's done. And so she goes, and you have Lois in there going, it looks like he's on the case. She goes, he's a good man, and I can, and that's it. He's a good man, and I hope my boy understands how good of a man he is. And she basically walks over, and they sit there and drink their tea, and that's the last you see of Lois in the movie. You see her in about a quarter up to that point in the movie, but the rest of the movie, it's not. I mean, until the very end of the movie, she's not in it. Amy Adams is not really in the movie, and because this is focused on Clark's character and how is he going to be able to defeat, quite possibly, this is one of his most dangerous adversaries, Brainiac, and how he's going to do it by himself without his team, and also his powers are leaving him. So you're putting him in a situation where I know how people are going to say, he could, no. This is tenseful because you're building up the tension. He's losing his powers. He knows it. You can see it. Over time, the durability is starting to wear in. He's bleeding. He's getting cut. And you're like, oh, this is not good. So you're getting a lot of story about that. And it's getting built, and it's getting built, and it's getting built, and it's getting built, and it's getting built up to the point where now, when he confronts Brainiac for the final time, he basically defeats him by utilizing something from the very beginning, from the one portion of the movie that he acknowledged, and that was the fact that he has all in the computers all the radiations of every place that he's ever been to. So that means he has the radiation of the yellow sun. He hit it, and he got doused with enough yellow radiation, yellow sun, so he's able to take on Brainiac, and by doing that, he's able to take on Brainiac and defeat Brainiac. Now, again, I mean, this could be kind of cliche, but it could be interpreted. You could be changed, but he has to confront him. And he finds a way to be able to give himself enough of an edge using the radiation to give himself a boost of power so he can fight Brainiac, because Brainiac is going to be able to toss him all over the place. He is nowhere near as strong as he was before. Nowhere near it. So when he finally destroys the ship, and the ship's about to crash land on a planet, he gets sucked out into space, and he tries to hold his breath, and he's trying to figure out what to do, and he tries to fly, and he flies. And that's when you notice that he can fly extraordinarily fast because the ship was actually flying towards a wormhole, and he had to outfly a wormhole. And he could do it. Superman could do it. He did it for the first time. He tries to outfly a wormhole. And he did it. He did it in Man of Steel. He outflew a wormhole, which was sucking in everything because of the Phantom Zone drive. So he outflew it. He flew past it, flew out there, kept flying in space, and he didn't realize that he was trying to outrun a black hole to the point where he outran it, but he zapped all whatever levels of energy, and he's about to breathe, and all of a sudden you see a green dome going, and he's like, ugh. And then he loses consciousness, and then when he finally wakes up, guess what? He's on Oa, and he meets the Green Lanterns. He meets John, he meets Guy, and he meets John and Guy, and they're sitting there saying, man, I can't believe this guy was way out here. And they're like, he's sitting there going, what the heck is going on here? They're like, they ask him, like, hey, what the heck were you doing out here? He says, where's Brainiac? And they're like, whoa, the Brainiac. And they tell him about Brainiac. He tries to fly, and he just floats just a little bit, and he falls down to the ground. They're like, they're surprised because he could fly. He's there going, he's trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and that's when a Guardian shows up, and it's Ganthet. Ganthet shows up, and he tells him that no. He goes, no, Kal-El, just calm down. He's like, what the hell? He's looking at him like, whoa. He goes, whoa, where the hell am I? He goes, you're on Oa, and this is the Green Lantern Corps. And that's when he reveals that we've heard of who you are, and when you defeated Steppenwolf, and he reveals to him, he goes, you work for that guy in that portal. He goes, no, we don't work for that guy. we're basically peacekeepers of the galaxy. He goes, He goes, okay. He goes, and that's when guy says, okay, we're cops, okay, we're space cops. So how the heck did you get way out here? He goes, well, Brainiac kidnapped me from Earth, and I've been on the and I don't know where the heck he was taking me. He goes, huh? He goes, did you look at his trajectory? He goes, I remember it. He goes, okay, show it to us. He goes, and he shows him where the trajectory is. He goes, that's where his ship is. Huh? Interesting. He goes, it's past an event horizon. He goes, and that's when Superman goes, that's impossible. He'll be destroyed. He'll be crushed like an egg. He goes, Brainiac's technology is way beyond anything we've ever seen before. You're like, what the heck? He goes, yeah, his technology is beyond anything we've ever seen before. So it wouldn't put it past me that he can be able to do it. We've been searching for Brainiac for millennia. And you're like, wow. So they reveal that, what they're looking for is Clark talks to him a little bit. He kind of relaxes, and they say that, well, they analyze him and say, oh, his body is able to cannibalize Yellow Sun. Huh. And he gains great strengths. Like he goes, uh-huh. He goes, am I able to get home? First thing he asks is, like, can I get home? I got a wife. And they're going, oh, okay, well, okay, we could take you home. And he goes, okay. And that's when Ganthet reveals to him that he tells him about, you need to beware of the Dark Lord. He is not a guy that he should be trifled with. And Clark looks at him and goes, you mean that guy in that portal? He goes, yes. You have a lot to deal with even on your blue orb, but you also got to realize that now you're open up to the bigger, grandier scope. You're open now to the bigger, grandier scheme of things. You need to be very, very careful. So you get Superman wondering understand what he's talking about. So they take him home, and he gets home, and everybody's now being introduced to the Green Lanterns for the first time again. And when they see Carol, and they look at Carol, and they kind of just look away a little bit, she kind of looks at him and goes, John, like she points out John, and you see a couple go, yeah, it's John, and he kind of waves a little bit, he goes, well, I got to get going. They're like, hey, whoa, where's Hal? And then you have John and Guy look at each other, and then they kind of look down, and they reveal Hal's dead. They're like, what? You mean Hardball is dead? How the hell did he die? What the heck is going on here? So now you're understanding what happened to Guy. Guy's dead. I mean, not Guy. I mean, with Hal. Hal's dead. And then he goes, and then she kind of forces him to say, where the hell is he? And he says, well, and he says, we can't mention that. So they say, we gotta go. So they have to go. So they fly off, and Superman's talking to everybody, and then he gives them a debrief about what happened with Brainiac, and he says that we need to worry about Brainiac. He goes, well, we don't have to worry about Brainiac. And he goes, but we need to find out who the heck gave him that message and told him about Superman. That's when Batman shows up and says, yeah, I already know who the hell did that. They're like, who? Who do you think? That person has a satellite still up in the air right now. They're like, it's still analyzing everything that's going on this planet, picking up all types of information. It's a reformatted Russian satellite system, but it was owned by, and Superman goes, Lex. He goes, yep, Lex. He goes, can you trace it? He goes, nope. The moment you came back, the satellite went defunct. He goes, oh, beautiful. And then that's when Bruce says, well, you also gotta, there's more. And they're like, oh, there's more? He goes, yeah. Lex has, because of his connections because of what happened of about 2 years ago. What happened 3 years ago? 2 years ago. Basically, I'm sorry. What happened 2 years ago? Basically, Lex has a connection to all the satellites owned by the United States government, so he can get one of those satellites on his side, and we can't take it down. The United States government is not letting us anywhere near it. So Clark is like, well, nothing we could do about that right now. Batman's like, yeah, well, I can figure. And Clark puts his hand up and goes, no, that's not the way. If Lex wants to spy on us, let him do it. We're not going to allow anything to stop us from doing what we have to do. And he says the greatest Superman line. He literally says that if Lex wants a battle, let him bring it. And that's it. Like, if he wants a fight, let him bring it. But I'm not going to play his games. So you're like, okay, great. That sounds like Superman to me. He says that he now understands. He understands now. He can't just, he has to think of the bigger picture. Now there's a bigger picture. He has a lot of enemies he has to deal with. And Lex is always going to be that one that's going to actually, he's the greatest enemy, because it's not for the fact that he has no powers or technology or anything like that, or what his smarts. It's the fact that he cannot lay a hand on Lex, because Lex's biggest defense is he's an alien and he has too much power and this and that. And if he goes after Lex and puts his hands on him, he's playing in Lex's hands. The best thing you can do is let Lex be his own worst enemy. And that's what he does. He lets Lex be his worst enemy. The more he's on the run, who the heck cares? We'll find him. Right now, we have a lot of things to worry about. And they're like, what do you mean? She goes, and he kind of looks at, he looks at Diana and he goes, that guy. And she goes, him? He goes, yeah. And I'll worry about Brainiac if he ever does decide to come. He goes, where the heck is he? And he says, he's too far away for us to worry about it right now. Like, he's too far away for us to worry about it. We shouldn't worry about him. But the other guy, we need to worry about that. Because he doesn't take kindly of losing. And she goes, oh. And Batman's like, great. Great. Okay. So he levitates off the ground. He goes, ugh. He goes, I never thought I would miss this. And he kind of smiles and he goes, if you guys need me, and they fly off, and Batman's like, well, I thought you needed us. Like, what the heck, man? I mean, whatever. So Batman's sitting there just like, what? Just shrugs and walks off. Wonder Woman's sitting there smiling and kind of shrugs herself and walks off. Superman flies. He goes back to his apartment with Lois, and you see Lois. He goes back and sees Lois. He lands. He gets there really fast. He goes, and he's already changed into Clark. Comes in and goes, honey, I'm home. And she goes, where the heck were you at, Smallville? He goes, well, I had to chase a story. Superman was battling against an alien inside of his own ship, and he got introduced to some space cops. And she goes, oh, Pulitzer level. And they kind of smile and snicker. And then he gives her a hug, gives her a kiss. He says, I miss you. And, they have their intimate moment. And then on the screen, the screen flickers and it turns on, and then you see the news come on, and it says that a man in a metal suit is attacking a town. And she goes, huh, you just got back. And he goes, looks like a job for Superman. He takes off his glasses, and you see him just walk forward, and he just he unbuttons the shirt. You see the symbol, and then you have his music, and then he flies off. Not the John Williams, but almost a semi version of it with the ideal of hope. And he flies off, and you see him land, and you see the metal guy. He gets up and he goes, you cannot. And then it's Metallo. It's John Corbin inside of a metal suit. And he goes, Superman's like, you know who I am, right? He goes, yep, you're a dead man. And she shoots weapons, and Superman's like, he's putting his hands in the air, and he goes, he runs over, rips the freaking thing apart. John Corbin's like, no, don't do that. And he rips it, and he goes, oh no. And he tries to get the guy out, but the whole thing explodes, and then you're like, whoa. And then that's the start of Metallo. And the suit explodes, and Superman just sees the wreckage, and he doesn't see the body. And you're like, whoa, the body is mangled. He's alive, but it's mangled. It's mangled beyond recognition. You're like, oh. Superman's like, He gets him up and he flies off and he lands him, and then he backs off, and he says, "Help him, please help him." And then he just looks down and goes, he kind of shrugs his head, like he shakes his head. He's going, he messed up. Like he should have thought about it a little bit more. So, he's gonna again. It's one of those. He stumbled. He stumbled a little bit. I was like, he thought maybe he could just rip, take something out, but he didn't utilize his skills. He didn't utilize his abilities. He just went in, just ripped stuff apart. He was like, they're going, what the? Tried to see the guy out of the suit, and boom, blew everything up. So. And I know how people are going to feel about it. Like, hey, wait a minute. You just said that he learned a lesson about this. Yes, he learned a lot of lessons. But the thing is that he's understanding his place. Like, he's understanding that he now has to think a little bit more about the bigger scope of pictures. But he's not understanding consequences for actions. So it's one of those things of consequence. Like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should use my sight, see what the hell's going on first, assess the situation, and then go against this dude. But he didn't do that, so it was kind of weird. No, I'm not weird. It was kind of good. It was good. You still seeing him, like he's still stumbling a little bit, but you see him fly off, and then a person's asking for help. He comes in, he lands, and the police officers are having a standoff, and he walks up, guys going, hey, wait, hey, is that Superman? They're going, oh man, and he goes, how can I help? And they go, yeah, we got a standoff over there. Those guys have some semi-automatic weapons. He's looking around, he's going, is everybody safe? He goes, yeah, everybody's really safe. He goes, and he asks him, do you think you guys can handle it? He goes, not if it lasts a little bit longer. He goes, so he stood back and he literally says, unless you want me to take care of it, I'll leave you guys to it. He goes, no. Hey, Soups, can you just go through the back door and try to frighten them to come out? I mean, he goes, huh, all right. And then he flies over, and then he flies up, and they're going, hey, he's leaving. And then and then you see they're like, okay, he's gone. And then out of nowhere, boom, and you see him coming through the door. They're like, oh man, and then he said, and then it shows Superman saves, he just stops standoff with high weaponry and everything else, and you see people going, yay, Superman. He smiles and waves, and he shakes hands with the police officers, and he says, and they all say, hey, thanks, and he flies off, and you're like, okay, so he's learning that, hey, see if they need help. If they don't need help, they're good, fly away, leave it alone, let them handle it. And that's what you're getting from a lot of these montages of what they're doing. It's showing them fly in, and they're like, and the people are saying, hey, we need your help here. He goes, okay. Car about to fall to his death. He goes, saves the car, flies it up, and lands it, and they're like, hey, cut. He looks around and goes, sorry. They're like, hey, no, that was actually pretty cool, man. No, that's all right. He goes, yeah, we'll put it in the movie. They're like, they don't care. They got a Superman scene of him picking up the car, flying it all the way up, and landing it, and just putting it gently on the ground, and looking around, and everybody's there going, yeah. And so they redid the scene where him landing, and they made it mold in the fact of the people are there, and they're going, yeah, hey, Superman, and they're all cheering him. He's sitting there going, he does the wave, and everybody's like, yeah, thanks, Superman. He flies off again. You're like, okay. So a movie got saved, even though, they're able to work it out. So there's small things that you do. So you get him flying around doing that stuff, and then the bigger thing is now you get the mid-cut scene. The mid-cut scene before the credits. And you see the ship. You see Brainiac's ship at the end of the event horizon. And he's still connected to the Earth's technology, and he's looking at it, and he says that, and you hear Jeffrey Combs' voice sitting there saying that the last son of Krypton is gaining favor with these people. He goes, too bad that everything that he's building is soon going to be engulfed in absolute chaos and destruction. I will have to make sure that I bottle up Metropolis very nice and tight, and keep Superman and keep the last son of Krypton as an experimentation of his genealogy. And once I figure out the secret to his DNA, I will gain the immortality that's needed so I can do this forever. And you're like, and you see his body, you see his frail body, and you see him smiling, you see him, and it's Jeffrey Combs. It's not another person. It's Jeffrey Combs, and he's smiling, and you're like, and you have his music, and you're like, whoa, it's sinister, it's creepy, it's like clocks, it's like clocks, and it's like, whoa, it's like everything's is winding down, and you're like, it's really good, and and that's the end of the movie. That's the end of the movie, and then you get one post credit scene. One post credit scene. It shows Superman flying in, and he's talking to Bruce, and that's where he's talking to Bruce, and Bruce is telling him that he analyzed that trajectory, and he says that event horizon actually is not an event horizon. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, with Victor's help, I was able to actually analyze a lot of it, and it's not an event horizon. It's actually he's actually utilizing the same technology as what the mother box was made out of. So he's using a boom tube. He's using a boom tube to create an event horizon. So people will stay the heck away. That's what he's doing. He's masking an event horizon with a boom tube. So you're like, what the heck? So he says whenever he needs to, he could turn that thing off and he can come straight to us. He can use a boom tube to come straight to us. And Clark's like, great. And and he says to him, he says, also there's another thing. And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, I don't want to get your hopes up, but I was able to get a Kryptonian message from it was a signal out of that event horizon. Somebody is sending a very faint but it's pretty strong type of signal out of that event horizon. He's like, what does it say? And Clark walks up to him and goes, what does it say? And he puts it up and it doesn't it just says words, and Clark's looking at it going, you're kidding me. He goes, well, what do you mean? He goes, there's my people are still alive, and they're going, what, Zod? And he goes, no, not Zod. Not his people. They're stuck in the Phantom Zone. No, they're saying that they're from Kandor. And he goes, Kandor? Huh. He goes, I don't know, but all I can say is that they're from Kandor. So we're getting that whole situation, and you're like, what the F? So that's the big story. You're getting the big story that's leading to Clark is going to go and confront Brainiac to get back Kandor. And two, it's going to be the introduction of Supergirl. Because the message is saying basically, find Kara. Find Kara of Kandor. And the last message is it's Zor-El. And that's how he knows, because he understands it. He understands the Kryptonian texts. And you're like, what the heck? So that's the end of the movie. That's what I would do. You build it up to basically be that Clark is trying to figure out what he needs to do. He confronts one of his greatest nemesis, and he basically defeats his greatest nemesis by utilizing what he knows from his teammates. And you introduce the Green Lantern Corps. You introduce the fact that Hal is dead, but in the Green Lanterns, there's something else that's going on. So, also you introduce the fact that Brainiac has I'm not Kryptonian, but apocalyptic tech. He's using it, and that a message is being sent out under his own guise. He doesn't know it. That he knows of, and that it's Kandor sending a message out saying the last son of the last child is still alive. This and this. So those are small things I would do that actually that would actually build up Superman's universe. There's a lot of stuff you could put in. I mean, really is. I mean, I introduced Metallo, and I want Metallo in for the Supergirl Superman mix-up because I want that to come in, and then it's Metallo, and also Parasite. I want two of the most powerful enemies that Superman's ever dealt with to be dealt with by both Supergirl and Superman. And it's also a training thing for both he and her so they can work together. And um and that's what I would do. And I hope that you guys like it. It should be a really fun story, and it's a little bit shorter than I did most of my other DCEU movie platforms. So, like I said, if you guys like it, great. I hope you guys enjoy. Give it a like, pass it on. That'd be really cool. But hey, like, comment, share, subscribe down below. Hit the bell. This is one of the videos I will have out. There's another one I will have out for Christmas. It is going to be the Trinity movie. It is a movie that I want to do after this movie. It's gonna be talking about their greatest fears and their greatest regrets, and also this is under the thrall of the Black Mercy. So the story is gonna be the black almost a story like the man who has everything type of story, but it's more in the fact of it's the Trinity itself. And now they did this in the comics before, but it's gonna be a lot more in depth. Like Wonder Woman's getting hit by it. Batman's getting hit by it, and so is Superman. They're all gonna get hit by this plant, and you don't know who sent it. You don't know who sent this, and that's one of the biggest that's one of the biggest fear tactics because you don't know who sent this. Now I know in the original it was sent by Mongol, but this is gonna be a little bit different, and but it's more of a thing that shows for not just Superman. It's gonna be for Batman, and it's gonna be for Wonder Woman. And also, it gives you a lot more to their characters, and it gives a lot more of their greatest fears and their greatest regrets. And even for Superman, because there's a lot that even in Man of Steel that that needs to be revisited. So I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys like it. And like I said, hit that bell. You guys have a great one. Happy holidays.